right. Hey, everyone. I'm Tess Thomas, founder of Recruit HQ. I'm here today with Rubina Veerakone from the University of Michigan.
Go Blue.
Go Blue, yeah. So Rubina played soccer at the University of Michigan, graduated a couple of years ago, Rubina?
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah, 2018. That's awesome. Yeah, so Rubina played soccer, University of Michigan, Division I. Of course, Go Blue, big school. So happy to chat with you today and see how, that experience went for you. Just, kind of have a bit of a background on how you got to Michigan, what it was like,
of course.
and kind of how that road was. And so did you, I guess I saw that you grew up in Michigan. You're originally from Michigan?
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan. I grew up in a town called Grand Rapids, Michigan, specifically Caledonia, which is about 2 hours away.
Okay, 2 hours away from school, which would be Ann Arbor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And how far away, just for so I'm originally from Toronto, which is like 4 hours to Detroit. So then how far away from Detroit would that be?
So I was only about 2 hours away from Detroit.
Okay, cool.
Probably 2.5, depending on like traffic. So it really wasn't too far away at all.
Yeah, it wasn't too far. Cool. And so obviously you played soccer growing up as a kid. When did you get started?
Yeah, so I think my parents wanted me to be productive, and they tried putting me in dance, and I had like way too much energy to be in dance. And so my dad was like, oh, well, everyone's playing soccer, let's put her in. And I was 6 years old. I remember having like none of it. Like I didn't want to do it. And the coach was like, is everyone excited? And me being like a 6-year-old with attitude was like, well, my dad got me into this mess.
Oh, no. No, that's so funny.
Exactly. So
that is so funny.
It was a pretty big mess he got me into. So
yeah, for sure. And then so what like flipped the switch, I guess, if you weren't, necessarily so into it when you first started? What do you think kept you going with it?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. It just kind of clicked with me. Like for some reason, I really liked it. I enjoyed doing it. Yeah. I think like as I got more athletic and stuff, it just made sense for me to continue playing. And I've always been a very social person. So I definitely loved having like playing with other girls and women. And I think it just like made sense for me to be in that type of environment.
Right. Yeah. No, cool. That makes sense for sure. I remember I played softball in college, but grew up playing all sorts of sports, and it's, I think it's true. Like once you get into, if you're a team sport kind of person or social person, it just I think evolves into this fit that works for you. So
100%.
Cool. And did you did you travel a lot to play when you were younger and things like that? Or like when did it start turning, I guess, more competitive for you?
Yeah, so 100% travel has been, I guess, the theme. So I grew up playing for local clubs, and just kind of like, as I felt, and my parents and I both felt that I was developing, I moved to more competitive clubs.
Gotcha.
So I played for some clubs around the area of Grand Rapids, which is on the west side of the state. But actually, when I got to high school, I played for a club, the Michigan Hawks, which was 2 hours away, which very reputable program, awesome coaching staff, gets a lot of exposure. So I would drive, my mom, when I couldn't drive, would drive me 3 times a week to Detroit with school.
Oh my gosh.
And then when I got older, we tried to carpool with some other girls who were doing the same thing. So travel was definitely in there, but we got to go with the Hawks specifically, I got to go to some really cool places like Seattle for showcases, and Dallas, and so it was really cool.
Yeah, I know that. We just said before I could drive, I was like, I feel like when we all became, of the age of driving, all of our parents were just like, thank goodness.
Can you imagine all the tournaments, like the hours? No, I don't know how they did it.
I don't know. No, I don't know either. And honestly, like half the time, my mom, like without company, because I would just get in the car and fall asleep.
Yeah. Same. Just out immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know how you did it, because you didn't really have me there with you anyway. I was asleep half the time.
Just staying awake and then having to watch like all the soccer and then come back,
For sure. I know it is. It's so much. But of course, that's all part of the journey in this story, 100%. Right. Did you find that being from Michigan and going to Michigan, do you think you were seen more locally? I guess you likely would have been, or, you know, what was the recruiting process like for you? Did you have a lot of interest from other coaches if you were going to showcases, you know, out of state, things
so
like
actually it was kind of the opposite. So I grew up always like loving Michigan, like in the state of Michigan. When you were a kid, you either grew up like a Michigan State or a Michigan fan. That's just how it was.
For sure. Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was always kind of on my radar, but actually when I was being recruited by a lot of schools outside of the state from the exposure I got from playing for the Michigan Hawks, just because our showcases where we played for ECNL, which is the elite club National League. And so they just would have showcases in Florida, like I said, Seattle, Dallas, and then all the coaches would go there for the weekend. So the exposure I got was honestly probably more national than it was local, just because I wasn't playing locally at the time when I was being recruited, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, you guys were going to essentially showcases all over.
Not in Michigan.
Not in Michigan.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in Michigan. No, that's so interesting. It's so funny how that happens though.
I know. It's wild.
Yeah. And did you go on like multiple visits when you were looking, or how did you know that Michigan was going to be the right fit for you?
Yeah. So I always liked this because I thought I was going to go to school far away because of that, right? Like Michigan at the time, I think I started like the recruiting process when I was probably more like a freshman, more likely a sophomore in high school. And so I would go on tours during the showcases, like just schools in the local area. Yeah. And then I remember one spring break in high school, my mom and I drove like through like Pennsylvania and just did all like a road trip of the colleges that were interested in me, like on the way and back. And I guess like Michigan was actually like the last school to recruit me like formally and give me an offer or whatever. And I remember going there. I don't know if it was like because it was Michigan because I had fantasized about it, but I know, you know, people say like when you meet like the love of your life, you like get this feeling. You just get a feeling when it comes to the school. And I never believed that. I thought it was so rational, so logical, but like, you know what you're looking for on paper, but unless when you go there and you really feel the people that are there, what they have to offer, you see it, like you see the environment, you just know you're meant to be there, you know? I'm sure you can relate too. It's just like one of those things.
No, for sure. It's a huge, it's a feeling, right? 100%. I actually had a quite a different experience. I actually committed to a school that I had not visited.
Oh, really?
Surprisingly, yeah. But I had a lot of friends there. And so,
which is an aspect of home that you always kind of want wherever you go, right?
Exactly. So that was part of it. And then, a big part of it too is playing an outdoor sport. So can we go south?
I feel that. I really do.
Yeah. So I'm not going to let like everybody who knows me know, like I'm literally like, I'm in a fleece right now. It's not even outside, but like,
but it's also like softball. Like you're not constantly running like soccer. You can kind of get away with it because you are like, I would not want to be sitting out there for 6 hours in the cold. Like, I definitely understand.
No, that's exactly it. And then you can't get warm and then you're miserable. And then like, forget about performing. I'm like, I'm cold. Like I can't do this. So.
Like basic human biology. I'm cold. This is not good.
100%. Yeah. So, you know, I completely understand. There's so many factors, as you said.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, knowing that, I had friends that were, having a good experience and having, success at that level at the school was kind of enough of a pull for me to give it a shot.
Yeah.
But everybody has their, you know, I always advocate for sure, if you can get onto campuses to visit officially or unofficially, whatever you can do. It does make a big difference, right? Because of course.
It really does. Like, I guess you could say sometimes the name of a school that's interested in you really draws you in. I mean, I experienced that. I thought I was like, you know, you just get excited and you think it's the right fit just because it's a school you've always wanted to be, but you really do have to see the environment just because it will be your home for the next 4 years, you know?
Yeah, totally. And get that feel for it too. And, and talking to folks, you know, and talking to,
100%
coaches. And how did you find, because I worked with young athletes, at least over the past couple of years, but just coming from your perspective, how did you find communicating with coaches like over time? Did you get more comfortable with it? Like in high school, was it awkward to start, or like, how did that go for you?
I would really advise, now just talking to young people, like I know, and for parents too, this is actually a big thing. Like, I really think the athlete should be the one communicating with the coaches. I know parents, like, this is a huge step for your child, and you've been the one driving us to all the things. And like, I really advise the athletes to be the one who's in communication with them, because when you get to the school, your parents won't be the ones communicating with your coach. Your parent, like, you will be doing that.
Yeah.
And I've seen that before, and I know it's like, it is a control thing, and you can like guide them, but like let them do all the communication. I felt like my parents went that way with me.
Right.
And it really helped me develop that skill and help me be open and communicating to coaches, and like really getting to verbalize what I want, and getting the questions asked directly to me. And like, but you know, it's just better for understanding, because you will be the athlete that's there, you know. So
100%. That's it's kind of what I usually allude to as well, is that the other side of it too, you know, is when things do happen at school, like, coach isn't gonna call your parents.
Your parents,
like you're it, you know,
like,
so you have to get
step.
used to it. Yeah, exactly. You have to get used to, you know, it's like, no, you're it now. You're, you know, essentially when you go away, like, you're an adult in that way.
Right. And like, not to say like your family shouldn't be involved and like listen 100%. To their opinions, but like, if you are the one, you should be the one speaking to your coaches. For sure.
100%. Yeah. Because then it's just starting, that communication is going to happen
100%,
over the next few years. So
yeah,
that's huge. And so you going into college just side note. So did you study, was it neuroscience and cognition? Like
so
what?
Like,
tell me about what you studied, because this is crazy.
No, I know. I kind of hate saying it because it sounds like way more than it is, but it was like perfect for what I wanted to do. So I studied biopsychology, cognition, and neuroscience. I was also pre-med. So basically why I chose that route was because it's kind of an in-between from neuroscience and psychology. I didn't want to be totally heavily all science-based, because like taking those core science classes, I kind of wanted to expand my knowledge base, get more of a holistic education. That was just a personal preference. But yeah, I studied that long name.
Yeah. Are you still thinking of going to med school or?
Yeah. So actually I'm starting my master's of public health at Boston University next week. So
awesome. Congrats. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
All lining up. That's great.
It really does. It really does. So I'm very excited, but I still bleed blue.
Those rivalries run deep, don't they?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, totally. No, that's awesome. And so I guess from an academic, athletic balance kind of standpoint, like how did that go, you know, going in like first year and what was that?
So first year was definitely a learning curve, as it is for everyone. I mean, being pre-med too, I probably didn't help the course load.
For sure. Yeah.
So one thing I would really tell recruits is, if you are like, I wanted to go to school that had both academic and athletic success. I know some people like weigh one or the other. If you are really looking to like go to a really good school academically, really look into the type of academic help they offer their student athletes. Michigan had an awesome system of resources where they had specific tutors and an abundance of them for your student athletes. I know I've had friends and like other people I've known that haven't had like the best experience in that regard, and some people can handle it. I considered myself a good student, but I will say that having that resources from like students that have taken that specific class at Michigan, like really know what the professors that like, it was really, really helpful, and helped me like just help me study better and understand the material better when I didn't have as much time as everyone else who was doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was huge, and that was something that really did sell me on the school too when I was looking.
When you were looking, yeah, for sure. No, that's a big deal. Yeah, the academic, like those support services are massive. You know, they're so important, especially when you're traveling and on the road, and you just, you know, studying on a bus.
And you're like, do I sleep or do I do my homework? Like,
literally, I remember that. It's like the three sides of a triangle, and it's like eat, sleep, or school. And you're like, I can only do 2 out of the 3.
Oh, it's a toss up. Sometimes you're like eating while you're studying. It's just a big.
I know. It's a mess. But any help you can get in that scenario is, as you're saying, super important once you're.
Of course,
once you're there and getting into it. And then of course I think you find a rhythm after,
you do
you know,
you do, and you start getting a hang of the schedule. You start knowing what type of workouts you're going to have, how tired you're going to be. You really do. Right. It forces you to become a good time management, like have good time management.
Yeah.
And I definitely did figure things out, like definitely within my freshman year.
Right.
Be okay to like try to tweak things and like being uncomfortable and being a little stressed, but
for sure
things do fall into place. And I think having like the help that Michigan did have academically really also helped me figure out kind of how to set my schedule.
Yeah, for sure. And did you come in undeclared major, or did you already have your major picked out like at that point?
Yes, I mean, I had an idea I wanted to be pre-med, and then I got into it and I was like, whoa, do I want to do this? Like, it was hard, right? And I think,
for sure.
And it's kind of like, do I have the aptitude for this? Am I smart enough? Whatever. And I did get to explore I took different classes that were more broad, and I really did find that I wanted to do pre-med and I wanted to study health sciences. I think also it's good to have is someone you can talk to about career services. I know that you have to go seek that out, but that's really nice to see. And you can get opportunities to kind of be involved. It's hard as a student athlete, but if you have resources on campus, it makes it so much easier to be able to do things like that.
Right.
And get experience.
And the staff get, at least a little bit used to working with student athletes as well, and like what might be able to fit,
exactly
schedule or how they might be able to help. So definitely it's always good to reach out, to those resources and staff on campus to help out, because it can go a long way. It can go a long way. You'd be surprised. And then I guess on the athletic side, how was it transitioning on the athletic side, like the physically, the workouts, like what was that change like?
So I thought soccer wise, like I was definitely there. Like I think my club experience, like as a player, I was ready. What I was not ready for was, instead of it being like 3 days a week or 4, or even like 5 days a week, it's now honestly 7 days a week. And if you're not at practice, you are working out. It does become more of a job. And I hate to say that because like it's still your sport, you still love it. But I mean, it is an inherent part of your daily life. The workouts, I definitely was not ready for. Like I wish I would have done more in high school to prepare me. I did figure it out along the way. It was just like 50 to 100, like it was really maybe not 0, but that was one thing I would really get ready for, like take care of your body. I did not do a good job of like going in the ice baths and rolling out. And I really wish I would have known like that is just as important as how you are performing, because you are getting older too. You need to be able to like take care of your body.
And recover. Especially if you're working so hard. I lived actually, 2 of my roommates through all of college were on the women's soccer team. So we had so myself, one of my teammates, so 2 softball girls, 2 soccer girls that lived together for all, pretty much 3 of the
That's
4
awesome
years.
What a crew.
It was a good crew.
On teams too.
Exactly. And so but seeing them, I mean, like you said, like they're totally different sports in the sense of the constant moving versus more like power explosion and sprints.
But the workouts are still hard.
Exactly. And so I just remember seeing those girls come in, they just be like
well, soccer is like, I guess when you're like not a track athlete, like you're in between track and soccer, and your body's just really not equipped to do that, but you have to do it. Like that's how it is.
100%.
Another thing I was gonna say I wasn't ready for was just like the mental rigor of it. I think you have to be used to the fact that even if you were this fantastic player, you're dealing with girls who have 4 years, 3 years on you, right? Like they know the system, they're smarter, they're more athletic, they're like just more seasoned, and you have to be ready. You have to be okay to fail, and you have to be okay with being like, that was bad. Instead of ruminating on this, learn and move on. You have to. And I think that was really hard for me to like mess up and not freak out and be like, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. Because you really don't have time to do that, you know? And that 100%. Was definitely something I had to learn too.
Totally. That's actually what I was going to ask about as well, was, that mental side and how you found that transition, things that you went to, or, things you told yourself when those times did come up, or that you can remember?
100%. So I had a problem with like making a mistake and absolutely freaking out internally and not being able to shut it off.
Right.
One thing I really would go to is like, if you do make a mistake, you have to be, the next thought has to be fix it. Like, you can't be like, I mean, you can be like, oh no, but then like fix it. Like, that has to be your next thought. Because if it's not, and you're still in play and you keep thinking about it, it's gonna, we've all been there, right? Like, it's gonna like ruin you.
Yeah.
I also definitely recommend just like a deep breath, like chill. If you can, like, you might be breathing heavy, but just like,
but you gotta like take a second.
Yeah. It's hard because you're freaking out and something might have been your fault, but it's gone. Move on. That's the game. No one will remember it. Fix it, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely hard because I mean, going from just outside of the game, like it's never going to be perfect. Like, even if you come in and start every game, you have your own struggles and battles where you're going to feel inadequate, and soccer, like your sport, like for me, it was soccer, like isn't going to be perfect. And you might be working really hard and things aren't going your way. Mentally, when you're working really hard and you still aren't getting that starting spot, you still aren't getting your minutes, to be able to be like, I'm still going to work hard. And the most important part, I think, is be like, I'm going to work hard, but I'm going to make the other people around me better too. That's really hard when things aren't going your way. And that is like something I learned. And I think I take that lesson with me everywhere I go. Like, things might not be going well for you, but know that the other girls or the other athletes around you are going through the same thing. Help them too. Yeah. Cause like, why not? That's what makes a team.
Totally. So. Yeah. And sometimes I find it's like when you take you take the focus off yourself and onto, the team. It's just like, let's just, do the best we can.
Yeah.
It does elevate, the spirits and
it
move
really
in the right
does.
direction.
And you have to separate it that way and really find value in the people around you. Cause you can like deprecate, it's really hard to always be on that grind all the time, for sure, day in, day out.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. Mm-hmm. And did you find, did anything surprise you, I guess? Yeah. The Big Ten, like competing at that level, right? Like that's legit, like that's big,
I guess what
big
surprised
conference,
me, so
right? Yeah.
I'm 5'3", so I'm tiny.
Right.
And I played outside back, which is like, you're a defender.
Yep.
And I was playing against the girls that were definitely 5'10", had like at least 50 pounds on me. Definitely. It was like, definitely had to learn how to, because I wasn't going to be the strongest and I wasn't going to be the fastest. So you really do have to learn how your physicality matches up with the conference that you're in, or your skill set. Yeah. I found that my skill set was very different from the typical Big Ten. So like, I kind of found my niche in being a more like agile and creative player. Okay. You had to be smart that I wasn't going to try to outrun like, a girl that could like just blow by me.
Outbody,
learn how to be smart. And I realized, I think the biggest thing was like, your mental game is definitely elevated in college. Like the tactics and everything become like substantially more important. And so be ready to learn from the mental aspect, like a lot more probably than you will from like technical aspects of your game.
Right. Yeah, for sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. And it's, of course, coming from, an elite program in high school, like from the technical side, you've had a lot of drills and skills and hours, on that side of things, but it's then it's like, how does that transition over?
Like you're always going to get better, but like your mental at the end of the day, you have a certain set, like you're old enough to, like, you are the player you are, but you can just grow so much more mentally from your understanding of the game and everything, for sure.
And do you have, I guess, thinking of that, is there like do you have like a favorite challenge you overcame, like either individually or as a team?
No, I do actually. So I kind of had a mixed experience when it came to my sport. So like I said, I think like as a player, I was definitely ready, but physically and emotionally, like I wasn't ready to take on that task. And like, for whatever reason, I just was like very nervous and kind of timid. So I didn't play that much my first 2 years.
Okay.
And my coach like really got on me and was like, do you have what it takes? Like, you got to step up.
Right.
And I had this kind of thing with like being pre-med, like everything was just here. I'm like, is it better for me to just be a student? Like, do I continue?
Got it. Yeah.
But fortunately, and why it's so dear to my heart is I had such great teammates that would always look out for me. And I felt personally like I would let them down if I just wasn't there and I wasn't fighting for them and with them and for myself. So I really learned how to, like I said, get over mistakes, really focus, make myself better, make it a point to make the other people around me better. Like if someone messed up, it was like, you're okay, move on, like next time, you know?
Right.
And I ended up starting and playing like every game my last 2 years. So
it's huge.
I think a lot of it may have to do with timing or whatever, but I know that like, had I not had that initial experience, I wouldn't have been able to like lead and carry myself in my later 2 years. Like I always made sure the classmen, the freshmen and the sophomores were on board with the culture too. Cause it's hard. You come in, you don't know what it means to really be a team. You're worried about your playing time and your school and like stuff like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've like experienced it, but it's hard to explain unless you've been through it.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's really tricky college because you have the change every year. You have graduating teammates and you have new teammates coming in
100%.
every year. Like for myself, growing up playing softball, we kind of had a core group of our team that were all the same age. So we just kept moving
and you
up.
go with each other.
Exactly. Just keep moving up together for, 4 or 5 years. And, it's not, of course the team changes over time, but if you have 6 or 7 people doing that together, it's totally different than potentially losing 4 or 5 people,
it
1
is,
year
and it's
to the
always
next.
changing, and you just got to be ready to roll with it and adapt. And that's another huge thing in college is like, there's so much more volatility and change. Like you really got to be ready for it.
Yeah, for sure. And did you have any coaching changes in the time you were there, or was it?
No, I had the same coach all 4 years, which might have helped me in terms of he saw my story like all the way through. But I know it's probably harder having like a coaching change and having to deal with like, now you have to like reprove yourself. They weren't the ones that recruited you. And I'm sure that's like stressful, but man, you just got to do what you got to do and prove yourself. You should be proving yourself every day, but I mean, you just got to go into it like, I'm going to prove myself.
I can prove myself every day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And keep working hard. No, that's awesome. On that coaching side, like if you have any, like who's the coach that you quote the most? Like if you could think, it doesn't even have to be one of your direct coaches. It could be like, a pro coach or whoever, but it's like, who's that coach who you just hear the things they say like over and over?
Oh my gosh. I hate it, but like, I guess there's one thing that my coach said, and like my coach, like we have the good and the bad side, like you always do. It is what it is. But remember one day, I don't know what it was, but he was like going in, and usually scared me a little bit, but before the game, he was like, everything you need is inside of you. Like everything you need is there. Mm-hmm. There's almost that validation of like, wow, I could really mess this up and we could lose and we could like not make it to the Big Ten tournament, but I was like, but we could. And we have it. Right. It's there. We just need to bring it's like almost like bring it, end of discussion. And I think that's great. And because you're gonna feel inferior and you're not gonna feel good enough at some time, but know that you really can do whatever you want to do if you work hard enough and you have a good outlook. So that was cool. I remember that.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I mean, if you have any other, if there's like a young athlete, maybe 10th grade, 9th grade, thinking about, going to that next level, if you have any kind of advice or anything you'd say to them.
Yeah. So actually now I'm thinking of another quote that one of my coaches said. And that to me was like the biggest thing that really helped me out. He was my club coach. Okay. And he really had like a large part of my growth as a player. And what he told me was the best players make players around them better. And I took that, and I'm sure many high schoolers take that as you have to be like such a good player that you're so good that you're elevating the game. And that's what makes the players around you better. But I realized that's not what they mean. Like I think in high school, especially when you're focused on your development, what that means is as much as you care about developing yourself, you're putting that much effort in making the other players around you better. Right. And I think more young athletes should also have that focus. I think we have this great idea of like the grind and individualism and like making yourself better, but that other aspect of it is a lesson that I wish I learned sooner. They can practice that with how they approach their teammates, how they speak to their teammates. That's going to make you so much more effective of a player and like a person. Like your team is going to be your family. And I just think that's a really good mantra to live by. And I think that if you are an athlete and you want to get better, take your game to the next level and like make others better. Like that's the next step, right? Like athletes can always make themselves better, but what's going to separate you, you know?
Oh, it's so awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Like, so great. So excited to have you on. And
thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And good luck to all those athletes. I know it's scary, but it's going to be the best time of your life. Really enjoy it.